What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at A Walk Among the Tombstones, starring Liam Neeson and written and directed by Scott Frank. All right, A Walk Among the Tombstones tells the story of this former cop turned private investigator named Matthew Scudder, who is enlisted by a drug dealer to find out who murdered/kidnapped his wife. And in this investigation, the Scudder character learns that the people who did this have already previously killed two other women, and now Scudder has to find these men before they now kill a little girl. Alright, so that's the overall basic premise of A Walk Among the Tombstones. Let's talk about it for a little bit. I like Walk Among the Tombstones. I think this is a very good detective story. I view this movie in the same vein as say a 7, though not as good as 7. Though I think A Walk Among the Tombstones is good in its own right. Now, there are movies in this genre, these detective stories, that are done much better, with much better writing and directing. Though, I think Scott Frank, for this movie, I think he hit the nail. He hit the nail on the head with this one. This movie has a very realistic and gritty atmosphere and tone to it. It's very street level. It never feels heightened or something that could never happen. It feels realistic. And Liam Neeson in the role of Matthew Scudder, he gives a fantastic performance. I think Liam Neeson's great in this movie. It's refreshing to see Liam Neeson do a movie that doesn't require him to act like he's Bruce Willis in Die Hard. You know, he's a washed-up former detective who is also a recovering alcoholic. And the reason why he's now a recovering alcoholic is because 10 years prior to the events of this movie, he was involved in a shootout where he killed two gangbangers, he injured one, but a bullet took a bad hop and he accidentally hit a 7-year-old girl who died instantaneously. And since then, he never sniffed any alcohol at all. And now he's doing work as an unlicensed PI. And I think Liam Neeson really captured the essence of the Matthew Scudder character to a T. This is not a nice guy per se. He's not even a heroic guy per se. He's just a guy that if you pay him he's going to do his job. He's an anti-hero pretty much, and Liam Neeson, you know, he fits the mold of a noir detective. You know, somebody who is in it for himself, and he fits the role perfectly, and he matches this movie's tone perfectly. Neeson is also backed by a very strong supporting cast. That includes Dan Stevens and Boyd Holbrook, who played the two brothers. Peter, and I can't remember I can't remember the Dan Stevens character for some reason. They played these two brothers known as the Crystal Brothers, and I thought they were good in their roles as well. I have actually would have liked to have seen more scenes of Dan Stevens and Boyd Holbrook together, really trying to get down the chemistry of them being as brothers. The most of their time is off screen, and they have two separate relationships with Liam Neeson's character, but we never get to see Holbrook and Stevens ever share any screen time where they can actually develop any chemistry as brothers. I think that was a little bit of a letdown since they're both the Dan Stevens character's wife is pretty much was pretty much the eyes of attention for the Peter character, for the Boyd Holbrook character. So there's like a link between those two, since the Peter character was in love with his brother's wife. I'd have liked to have seen a scene of something like that being fleshed out a little bit, but we don't really get that. Performances are fine, but I think it was a little underutilized. David Harbour is in this movie. He plays one of the villains known as Ray. This was my first exposure to David Harbour as an actor, and I like him in this movie. He comes across as just eerie and sadistic, and I think Harbour puts on a really good performance. And I think the other actor who played his partner, he comes across as just this slimy, deviant, sadistic type of person as well. Not from the actions that they do. It's all in their look. It's all in how they deliver their lines. It's all on how they have their screen presence. That's what really makes them come across as these inhuman type of people. And David Harbour and the actor who played his partner in crime, I thought they put on very solid performances as the two kidnappers/killers that Matthew Scudder is trying to hunt down. To me, the best parts of this movie are really the investigation. I think when it comes to the investigation aspect of this movie, Scott Frank really has it really nailed down. Uh, the pacing of this movie, to me, well done. For a movie that's an hour and that's pretty much an hour and 50 minutes, it makes the use of its time. It doesn't have too much filler. Every plot point goes from one to the next, and you do get some good character development as well. And you also do get some light moments as well. You know, there are a lot of the Matthew Scudder character develops a relationship with this teenage boy named I can't remember what the kid's name was. Dante, whose detective name, oh, TJ. He develops a relationship with this little boy named TJ, and they kind of develop a nice little friendship throughout the course of the movie. And Scudder becomes an unofficial mentor to this TJ character, and I like the relationship that forms between these two. But I like how TJ is not the annoying kid sidekick. Like, he's not there with Scudder hunting down these bad guys. You know, he's there only when he's required to be there, but he's never in the thick of the action, which I can appreciate. Mainly because when you get to the end of this movie, the kidnappers have already kidnapped the little girl, and it would have been redundant if TJ was there kidnapped along with her. It just would have just been like, okay, come on. You got the little girl. That's more than enough. The stakes are high enough. Let's move on with it. I'm glad the movie didn't go down that route. I appreciate Scott Frank for not being overly cliched with that. Even though this movie is cliched to itself, it has fun with the cliches, to me at least. And it tells a good, very riveting and enthralling and engrossing story. The story behind this movie does get your attention. It's never boring. It never drags. Like I said, it's a fluid story. Even though there are some things I would have changed here and there, I overall enjoyed the movie. I mean, yeah, there are certain characters that are like just there. Like there's this character of Jonas, who's pretty much just there to give Scudder some exposition as to what happened to another victim, and then he just kills himself. There's this other character who was in relationship with another character. He didn't need to be in there. You could have just had Jonas just mention him by name and just have him appear in a flashback instead of having Scudder talk to this guy. I didn't really need that extra scene. Didn't really do anything in the long run, to be honest with you. The whole subplot with the little girl being kidnapped, I am okay with that. It works for me, especially since when the Ray character sees her, you have Atlantis by Donovan playing in the background, and it's almost as if this scene kind of plays out as if Ray is falling in love with this little girl, and he's like thinking of all the disgusting things he wants to do. It's the imagery of what this conjures up in your imagination is just disgusting. It's sick, but I think that's the intent. It's the intent of getting into this man's head, and you don't want to get into a man's head like into a person's head who has a twisted mind to begin with. All right, and I think Scott Frank, again, he nailed that down really, really well. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of more things I can mention with the Walk Among the Tombstones. There's this whole thing of the Scudder character going to AA meetings, and all throughout the final act of the movie, you hear the 12 steps being placed to you one by one, which was okay. I didn't mind that, though. I did not like the fact that both the Christo brothers died. Like, I'm okay with the Peter brother dying, but his older brother, played by Dan Stevens, he just goes down off screen, and he doesn't even get a chance to even get we don't even see his death, to be honest with you. We don't even see how he holds up. The movie just treats him as him just going down like a bitch. I didn't really appreciate that, since the movie was kind of built up his character a little bit. I would have liked to have seen him put up with some struggle at least. You know, give me something. Don't have the guy go off screen. That's kind of cheesy and lame, in my opinion. That's just me. So yeah, overall, I'm gonna give A Walk Among the Tombstones a solid 8 out of 10. This is not the greatest detective story you'll ever see, but it's a damn good, solid detective story, and it's backed by a very, very good performance by Liam Neeson. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like this video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.